Acharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Having completed the 9th chapter, we now have the privilege of studying the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. By God's grace, we have been having a smooth cruise, and I can say effortlessly, we have been having an opportunity to study the Bhagavad Gita verse to verse, which is a tremendous amount of grace indeed. From the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has changed our vision of trying to help us to see God in the world. He has said there are two aspects: the lower aspect of me, which is the apara prakriti, which through our sense organs we are able to come in contact. So to see Bhagwan now, we don't have to go to Kailash Manasarovar or to Tirupati. If you are sensitive, you will be able to see Bhagwan everywhere. In this chapter, which is called Vibhuti Yoga, Krishna makes it easy to see God in the world through something extraordinary as a preparation for Vishwarupa Ishvara vision, where we see the whole world as God. So Vishwarupa Ishvara darshan is to be able to see the whole world as God, and Vibhuti Yoga is to be able to see God in the world. To begin with, Padma, the opening verse is yours. Please start.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. I shall start with a brief
Are my slides seen? The slides are seen?
Yes, sir. Slides are seen. Sir, you may have to go to slide mode, sir.
I'm already in slide mode.
No, it is showing as a
Jnana Sloka
mode.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll restart once again. You can go ahead. Please go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Hari Om. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. In the previous 7th, 8th and 9th chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna dwells upon Ishvara Swarupa, or the nature of God. In the 10th, 11th and 12th chapters too, this is a theme. Lord Krishna defined God as Jagat Karanam, meaning the cause or the one responsible for the emergence of this universe. He talks of the nature of God as Para Prakriti, the higher self, nature of consciousness, which is Nirvikaram, and Apara Prakriti, the lower nature, Nirgunam, which is the nature of matter. Lord is Jagat Karanam. Swami Param in his discourse says, for those studying Vedanta, the understanding of this Karanam is of 3 levels or stages, depending upon the maturity or the intellectual capacity of the student. In the first level, Nimitta Karanam, Lord creates the world. The creator is Lord Vishnu. And how does he create the world? The Lord Vishnu's navel comes Brahma. From the Lord Vishnu's navel comes Brahma, to whom Lord delegates the creation of the universe. And in the second level, God becomes the world. And how and from what does God create the world from? The Mundaka Upanishad gives an example. Yathor nabihi sujate guhante. Just as the spider creates the web from its own body, the universe too comes out of Brahman. Here Brahman is material cause as well as the efficient cause of the universe. In the second stage, Ishvara Jagat Parinami Upadhana Karanam. Here the God himself is the manifestation. Vuhu Padau Yasya Nabhir Vyada Surani Nilas Chandra Suryocha Netre. Akasha, the nature, water, Vayu, sun, moon, etc. is all manifestation of God. Ishvara Vibhuti, the several forms of the Supreme God. The whole cosmos is the avatara of the Lord. This is called Vishwarupa Ishvara. Swami Param says, in the third level, for a student to understand the universe as unreal requires tremendous intellectual and emotional maturity. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. But in this 10th chapter, the topic is God manifests as the universe. Sarvam Vishnu Mayam Jagat. And we see the glory of God in everything and everywhere. Sarvartha Vibhuti Darshanam. This chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga. It continues by listing several vibhutis or expressions of the Lord. The first verse, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, Bhuya Eva Mahabaho, Shunu me Param Vachaha, Yatteham Priyamanaya Vashyami Hityakamyaya. Meaning, the Lord said, "O Arjuna, once again may you join. May you listen to my supreme words, which I, wishing your welfare, shall tell you who are delighted." Lord Krishna is delighted with Arjuna's keen interest in hearing his glories, and he wanted to reveal Ishvara's glories to Arjuna. Just as Shishyas want good gurus, gurus too want interested good Shishyas, because Shishya inspired the gurus and gurus' creativity. In Katha Upanishad, Yamadharmaraya is inspired by Nachiketa and prays to the Lord, asking for more disciples like Nachiketa. Svadruno bhuyat Nachiketa brashta. Lord Krishna himself is a great teacher. He is omniscient. Saint Madhusudan Saraswati in Bhagavad Gita's Dhyana Shloka says, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. That is, Krishna is the preceptor, teacher of the universe. Here in this verse, Lord Krishna says, He Mahabahu Arjuna, Bhuya eva me paramam vachashrunuhu. May you once again listen to my supreme words, which, wishing your welfare, hitakamyaya, I shall reveal to you supreme knowledge of my glories and incomparable attributes. He uses the word Priyamanaya, implying, you are my beloved favorite disciple. He calls his glories Paramam or supreme because they enable us to transcend this world of name and form and access Ishvara. Ishvara Vibhuti Jnanam further continues in the next verses. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Padma. Nice introduction to the 10th chapter through the explanation of the opening verse. Shri Kulkarni avare, please start.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Continue.
Hari Om. Gurubhyo Namaha. There is a 10th chapter, 2nd verse. Name vidu suraganaha prabhavam na maharshayaha ahamadirni devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. Name viduhu. You cannot understand. Suraganaha cannot understand. And prabhavam na maharshayaha, because they don't know the origin of mind. Aham adirni devanam maharshinam cha sarvasyaha. The origin of Devagana and Maharshigana, I am the origin. Neither the gods nor the great sages know my origin, because I am the origin of gods and great sages in all respects. This verse is introductory verse for Ishvara Vibhuti Jnana. Bhagavan wants to clarify that none else can know my glory, and I know the glory in its full measure. Since others as a finite beings in nature, a finite mind and intellect cannot know the glory of infinite Lord. Swami Chinmayananda in his commentary to this verse clarifies that Suraganas means Devaganas, and Devaganas illumine the sensory world of objects required for innumerable experiences. Sensory objects are the qualities of the Panch Mahabhutas, the Akasha, Air, Agni, Apa, and Bhumi. And presiding deities are Agni, Vayu, Sun, Varuna, and etc. And these are for senses of sound, touch, fire, taste, and smell. And these Devaganas cannot know my real nature, and they are born later. And as regards the Maharshis, as I am the cause and creator, with a limited instrument of knowledge, they cannot know me. I am the Karanam, the cause to everyone, including Brahmaji and Devaganas and Rishis. In the preceding chapters, the Lord Krishna elaborately explains the nature of higher truth, that is Paraprakriti, as all-pervading, changeless, pure consciousness, and cause of the universe. That is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Lower apara prakriti is a matter principle which is subjected to changes and attributes. The mixture of apara and para is a God principle. See, God himself manifests as a universe seemingly identified with the total mind. Ishvara manifests himself for the transaction of a plural world of objects. He is abhinna nimitta upadana karanam, and vibhuti is his glory. The sadhaka can experience the word as his vibhuti with shraddha, bhakti and knowledge. The glory of vibhuti is enumerated in the next few verses. In this context, I would like to quote the verse from Mankutimana Kabba for a clear understanding of his vibhuti. Kanteredu nodu chitsattva murti, ಕಣ್ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ನೋಡು ಶುದ್ಧ ಸತ್ವ, ಉನ್ಮುಖನ ನೀನು ಎರಡು ಜಗಕ್ಕೆ ಇರುತ್ತಿರುವಾಗ ರನ್ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾಂತಿ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. Sadhaka who is experiencing this word outside during the waking state finds peace when reveals inside the heart, which is an eternal peace. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Kulkarni sir, for a very nice explanation. So, to be able to appreciate Bhagwan's Vibhuti, we need to be very sensitive. Somebody has said, if you have seen a tree and you have seen a tree, you have not seen anything. But if you have seen a tree and you have seen a wonder, then you have really seen. When you become sensitive not only to the gross world, but also to the subtle world. Whenever you see somebody with extraordinary talent, extraordinary brilliance, extraordinary intelligence, even that is the vibhuti of the Lord. Vibha, your time starts.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Yo mamajam anadim chaveti lokamaheshwaram asammudaha samartyeshu sarva papaihi pramuchyate. In the previous verse, as the second verse, Sri Krishna said people cannot know Bhagavan. And in this verse, he indicates how one can understand who the Lord is. And those people who understand as God as unborn, unchanging, and so on, get liberated. Let's look into the meaning of the verse. In this verse, Krishna says, those who know me as unborn and beginningless and as Supreme Lord of the universe, they among all the mortals are free from delusion and are released from all the papas. Here Krishna indicates that those who know me, that means he is telling that only a Gnani will get liberated. Krishna reveals the Swarupa or the nature of Brahman. He uses three words. Ajam, that is birthless. Everything in the world has a birth date. Thus, when you have a birth date, you will also have a death date. And people think birthdays are special. And we as Vedantins, we celebrate birthdays. And we also actually celebrate death days also, like our future generation celebrates death days also. So we should pay attention to all of this. The second word is Anadim. Brahman is beginningless. Everything begins with reference to time, and Brahman, being the creator of time itself, is beginningless. Loka Maheshwaram. Loka means word and Maheshwaram means the higher power. Shri Krishna further says that those who know me in this manner will be free from all the papas and get liberated. So let us know that the nature of Brahman is birthless, beginningless, and supreme power in the universe, and it is the same nature as Atma as well. And the one who recognizes Bhagavan as everything is free from delusion. This person is called Asammudaha, free from delusion. Someone who is deluded takes Satchidananda Atma, the cause of everything, as product. What is free from form is taken as something with a form. What is timeless is taken as subject to time. In other words, Atma is taken as Anatma. When you say, I am short, I am tall, I am fair, I am dark, it is taken to the body. So you superimpose the body to Atma and the Atma to the body. And this is the result of a typical samsari. Such a person is sammudaha, and the person who's away free from all this delusion is asammudaha. So sa martyeshu asammudaha, he is not deluded even though he is amongst all mortals. So you cannot take him to be a mortal. Such a person is released. That is pramuchyate. He is liberated. He gains moksha. And sarva papaihi. In terms of papas, there are two types of papas. One which you do it on purpose, knowingly, and another one you do it by mistake, out of carelessness or something. But we have to realize, like, if you are careful, you will not do a mistake. So when you're careless, so all of these mistakes, when you do it both ways, it is wrong. So one has to lead a life which is mindfully, carefully, so that one does not hurt anybody or do anything wrong. And because Bhagavan has said sarva papaihi, you have to take into account the punya also. And punya is bondage. So how is he liberated from all papas? Because he is no longer a karta. He recognizes Atma, which is always a akarta, that is a non-doer, but taken as a doer. Because of that, he subjected himself to the various papas and punyas and papa karmas. Now recognize the fact that Atma is akarta. He is released from all the punyas and papas, and this is moksha. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you. Thanks, Vibha, for a nice explanation. She nicely brought out the attention to the word asammudaha, which can be said as be discriminative or be very sensitive. If you have to be able to discover God in the world, his gross form and his subtle form, you need to be much more sensitive, then you will be able to see the Lord. Dr. Sanjay, your time, verse 4.
Hari Om. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. My verse is verse number 4 and 5th, and it is described with the transcript of Paramarthanand together, but I would be describing the first verse, although I will chant both the verses. Buddhir jnanam sammoha chama satyam damaha shamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavah bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushti tapodanam yasho yashah bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta ev prathak vida. Now, let me just read the meaning first, and then I'll go with some description. Intelligence, knowledge, non-delusion, patience, truthfulness, sense control, mind control, pleasure, pain, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, contentment, austerity, generosity, fame, and ill will are the different dispositions of the being are born out of me alone. So what Krishna is describing here, that he is the source of both material and the subtle manifestations of this universe. Or Brahman or God is the source of matter, which is material universe, as well as the subtle matter, which is your consciousness. Now, if you look at the Brahman itself, it is attributeless. So what we actually perceive our consciousness, which is what is the English description of consciousness, is the reflected consciousness, which is the RC, which gives us the awareness. As on the other hand, the original consciousness has no attributes. So God or Brahman alone has created this universe and the consciousness, which you can call it in our relationship as Jivatma. As a Jivatma, body-mind complex with the reflected consciousness can have two interactions. One which is outside and what is inside. So the one which is the interaction which you do in the day-to-day world, interacting with the world outside, you can call it the Bahya Prapancha, which is outside. And the one which is the inner interaction, which is your mind and its interactions, you can call it the Antaha Prapancha. But both are created by me only. This is what the description is. Now, in the first, which is the Antaha Prapancha, is enumerated. And Krishna gives a list of things like buddhi, intelligence, jnanam, asammoha, which means clarity of the thinking process, shama, patience, or you can also, it's being described as satyam, damaha, the sense control, and thus the mind control. And if you know from in the Kathopanishad, the Rathakalpana explains it very well. Atmanam ratinam viddhi shariram ratamevatu buddhim tu saritam viddhi mana pragahamevacha. Now sukham, dukkham, bhava and abhava, which is also presence of thought and absence of thought, which means even a meditative state is all part of him. Bhayam, abhayam, fear and fearlessness. And the list continues in the next sloka, which I will leave. Overall, what Lord Krishna is trying to say, that through him only the inner world of thought is born out. In effect, he is the cause of everything, because time, space is all created in the understanding of the reflection of that Brahman, which is the universal consciousness, which is attributeless. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. A lot of emphasis on not only seeing the vibhuti in the gross world, but to see Bhagwan's vibhuti in the subtle world. Mamta, first. Are you able to unmute?
Yes, am I audible, sir?
Very clear. Go ahead.
Okay. The verse has been chanted by Dr. Sanjay, sir. So I will just skip that, sir. And I'll go ahead with the verse description. The literal meaning of the verse, which Dr. Sanjay sir has already mentioned. I'll just go over it again. Non-violence, equanimity, contentment, austerity, generosity, fame, ill fame. These varied states of living beings are born out of me alone. This shloka, as mentioned earlier, is continuation to previous shloka that Dr. Sanjay sir just elaborated. Now, Shri Krishna continues to describe the internal world of thoughts, Antara Prapancha, in all the living in this shloka. He continues with the description of ahimsa or non-violence. Non-violence typically is understood as refraining from physically hurting living beings. But more broadly, it means refraining from harming any being through word, deed, or thought. For instance, if we cheat someone or if we insult someone, we are not practicing ahimsa. He continues to talk about samatha or calmness. Swami Param says, when we perform action, every action is Ishvara Arpana. When we receive the processed karma or action in the form of phalam, we call it Ishvara Prasada and not karma phalam. It comes from God, and so it is sacred and cannot be rejected or criticized. Hence, when we live according to the Ishvara Arpana Bhavana while acting and Prasada Bhavana while receiving, then enjoy samatha in the true sense. Therefore, samatha is a result of Ishvara Arpana and Prasada Bhavana. The list continues with Danam, which means to give charity to one who is worthy. He goes on further to list in the list to Tustihi or contentment, which refers to Prasada Buddhi or the ability to accept everything in life, good or bad, joyful or sorrowful, as a gift from Ishvara. If we are constantly unhappy with what life gives us, we are failing to recognize our essential nature I and are instead attached to our limited finite ego. Then comes tapaha, which means voluntary austerities for spiritual benefit, observing moderation and without overindulgence of anything in accordance with the Vedas. Krishna goes on to describe yashaha, that is the fame that comes through pursuit of dharma or lawful conduct, like compassion, generosity, etc. And finally, ayashaha, that is the ill fame that results through the pursuit of adharma or unlawful conduct. These thoughts of ahimsa, samatha, tushtihi, tapaha, danam, yasha, ayashaha are a subset of so many other thoughts in an individual which originate from the Lord. We could understand this better with one analogy of electric power. The electric power supplied by the powerhouse is being used by various gadgets. The same electric power passing through different gadgets creates different effects. It creates sound in one, light in the other, and the heat in the third. Although the manifestations are different, their source is the same electric supply from the powerhouse. Similarly, Sri Krishna states that all these qualities, the Antara Prapancha, manifest in individuals to the extent sanctioned by the Lord in their own varied ways. It further emphasizes that Lord Krishna is the source of all good and bad nature in living beings. This is what is meant by part of the verse, Matta eva bhavanti prathagvidhaha. To summarize, all these inner qualities are generated in us by none other than Lord Himself. However, there is a set of rules that govern the creation of these inner qualities. It does not happen randomly. It is our karma or actions that we perform by exercising our freedom of choice in the present and past lives. This will determine the quality of experience of our daily life. The ultimate truth, however, is right action done with right attitude will enable us to imbibe good qualities. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mamta. Nice explanation of this verse. Perfect. Although we are talking about Vibhuti, we would like to see all the glorious things of God. But when we come to the world, we see the inglorious part, and Krishna is preparing us for that. That everything that you see, the manifestation must come from Bhagwan itself. Dr. Padma, verse 6.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Hari
I
Om.
will begin by chanting the verse. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jataha yesham loka ima praja. The 7 great sages, the earlier 4 sages, and the 14 Manus, who possess my nature, and whose progeny are these in the world, are born of my mind. In the earlier verses, Krishna described how the inner world of intellect and emotions arose from him. In this verse, he talks of the creation of the external world, all of which emerged from his mind. First, the Lord created Brahma, who created the Sanakadi Rishis and then the Sapta Rishis to populate the world. The Sanakadi Rishis, who represent the Nivritti Marga, came first, or Purve. When they chose to take up sannyasa, the Sapta Rishis, who became the Grahastha Rishis of Pravritti Marga, were created, namely Bhrigu, Angira, Atri, Kashyapa, Gautama, Kutsa, and Vashishta. Some Puranas give slightly different names. Brahma also created the 14 Manus, each of whom presides over a particular age, a particular era called Manvantara. A Manvantara consists of 71 Chaturyugas. In chapter 8, we learned that each Chaturyuga is a sum of the 4 yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga, or 306,720,000 years. We are now in the Saptame or 7th Manvantara, presided over by Vaivasvata. Of the 71 Chaturyugas in this Manvantara, we are in the 28th Chaturyuga. When the 14 Manvantaras presided over by 14 Manus are complete, we will reach the end of one Kalpa or one day of Brahma. It is then time for Brahma's night and the state of Pralaya when all living beings become unmanifest. This is the meaning of the first line of this verse, Maharshaya Saptapurve Chatvaro Manavastata. The second line of verse 6 is Madbhava Manasa Jataha Yesham Loka Ima Praja. We are all known as Manasa Jata, for we have descended from the Saptarishis and the 14 Manus, who emerged from the Manas or the mind of Brahma, who emerged from the Hiranyagarbha energy of Vishnu. All living beings in this world, this loka, have sprung from the 7 rishis and the 14 Manus. Swami Param says there is no question of these Manus and rishis being created, but it was a case of sankalpa matrena, that is, all beings were created through sankalpa. Remember that we create a dream world via sankalpa when we sleep, a world which appears unreal when we wake. Similarly, Brahma created the world, the rishis and the manus through sankalpa or visualization. Vedanta reminds us that the world we live in is unreal. Last week, Dr. Ahalya gave us the example of the screen and the movie projected on the screen. The movie appears real but does not exist beyond the screen except in our mind. Since the rishis and the 14 manus were created by Brahma through sankalpa and Brahma emerged from Vishnu, all of them have madbhava, says Krishna. That is, they have his nature, and so do all the manavas, that is us. Just as every spark has got the same nature of the original fire, we all have the nature of God within us. Swami Param says that there is another meaning for the word bhava. Bhava means bhakti or devotion. So all these people who have emerged from Brahma and all of us who have emerged from them have devotion towards the Lord. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Padma. A very, very clear and a nice explanation of this verse. Enjoyed listening to you. Lakshmi, your time starts, verse 7.
Hari Om, Doctor.
Hari Om.
Etam vibhutim yogam cha mamayo veti tatvatah so vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshya. He who really knows this glory and power of mind is blessed with unshaken knowledge. There is no doubt in this. Krishna says, one who in reality knows this, that is the truth, my vibhuti and my yoga, gets established in the realization of the Supreme. The terms vibhuti and yoga in this stanza are translated as manifold manifestation of beings, that is vibhuti, and my power, yoga. In the previous verse, the macroscopic projection of the created universe through this intervention of the 7 seers is the God's own vibhuti, and the microscopic experience of a limited world through the intervention of the mind-born 4 ancient Kumaras is the divine yoga of the self in each of us. So the one who realizes both the vibhuti and the yoga as the divine expression of the eternal realizes the infinite. So Krishna says that the seeker must know in reality, that is tattvataha, the above knowledge has to be realized in a subjective experience and has to live as I am the self. So we have 3 stages. God creates the world, God becomes the world, and God appears as the world. The rishis, ancients, and the manus all were born of mind. Therefore, when the self detaches itself from both the individual mind and the cosmic mind, it comes to revel in all the absolute glory. Identifying itself with the cosmic mind, it becomes the creator, Ishvara, creating the universe, and identifying with the individual mind, it becomes a limited ego, Jiva, suffering the limited world. To know this implication and to live up to this is the tremorless yoga, wherein a permanent and steady establishment in the experiences of the self is assured. So Krishna says, Saha, so one who understands that the world is God's form, Yogena Yujyate, he will be taken to the next level of Ishvara Darshana. What is the next level? God does not transform himself to become the universe. He only appears to have all these forms. So from Aneka Rupena Ishvara, he goes to Arupa Ishvara Gnanam, and it is Nirguna Ishvara Gnanam. Avikampena, this Arupa Ishvara Gnanam becomes the strong conviction for him. Natra Samshaha, without any doubt, he will experience the self. Hari Om.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you, Doctor.
Another very nice explanation of a very beautiful verse where Krishna is slowly and slowly sensitizing us to be able to see him, his glory, initially as the experienced world and then as the experiencer itself. Very subtly, Ishvara Darshana is happening. Dr. Murthy, verse.
Yes, sir. Hari Om. Now we have completed the 50% of Bhagavad Gita. That means first Shatkam and half of the Madhyama Shatkam were completed. Here now, with permission from Dr. Hegde, I would like to deviate a little bit and dwell upon certain feelings of mine to share it with the participants of this great Gnana Yajna, which have been going through, which all of us are fortunate to be part of. This lockdown came as a big blessing to all of us, Mumukshus. Some of us were Madhyama Mumukshus before, and now all of us have become Tivra Mumukshus. Now we have completed going through 9 chapters, that's 372 shlokas. To put it in Swami Chinmayananda's words, we have gone through 372 shlokas. How many shlokas have gone through us? Meaning, how much of it we have digested, how much of it we have assimilated. These 2 months of lockdown period, all of us have gone through Shravanam. Some of us must have done Mananam also, and few of us must have done Nididhyasanam. So, I mean, all of us have got intellectual knowledge, that is Jnanam. And here we have to sit back and do some self-audit. How much of it has helped us to have succeeded in converting it into emotional strength, meaning Nididhyasanam. We have a target, we have an agenda. What is it? To liberate ourselves from samsara in this very life, means to become Jivan Muktas. I feel all of us should reset our target, as by the time we complete the remaining 9 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, it may take another 3 months. We should reach the target. What is the target? To become Jivan Muktas. Setting a target gives us energy, enthusiasm, and direction to reach the goal. What is our goal? Aikyam, owning up our true nature, Aham Brahmasmi status. Let me pause here and go back to my shloka. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddhaha bhava samanvitaha. Buddhaha, what are these Buddhas? Well-informed, wise people, well-informed. Information about what? God as the intelligent and the material cause of this universe. He is the material cause, meaning he himself has become the universe. So the seeker by this knowledge has overcome Ragadvesha. He has no resistance to the consequences of his own actions. He has developed Ishvara Arpana Bhava and Prasada Bhava, making him a great Karma Yogi. He sees everything in this world, Drushya and Adrushya Prapancham, as God himself. This is called Vishwarupa Darshanam. He has become Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta, which is an intermediary stage before he proceeds to become Arupa Ishvara Bhakta. Here, I would like to mention a sloka from Upadeshasara. Jagata Yeshadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Brut Deva Pujanam. And now, Krishna also says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. I am the origin of the entire universe. Matta sarvam pravartate. Everything proceeds from me. Iti matva bhajante mam. With this awareness and knowledge, bhava samanvitaha, soaked in devotion, mam bhajante, who worship me. In the 10th shloka of this chapter, Krishna promises that he will grant yoga, Gnana Yoga to such Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhaktas. Now, may I take this opportunity to express heartfelt gratitude on behalf of all the participants in this great Gita Gnana Yagna to the dedicated team headed by Dr. Hegde, the team members being Dr. Sundar, Madhusudan, Sachin, Venkatesh Prasad, Ullas, Vishwanath, and Neeta. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy, for taking us through the whole exercise and bringing us to where we are, that we are somewhere in the middle of the study of the Bhagavad Gita. You also gave us a vision that in few months down, when we complete the Bhagavad Gita, we should be able to reach our goal as Purnatvam, Jivan Mukti, and so on. Now, we have come to the last speaker today. Each of the speakers in their own way have explained the verses so clearly that it is possible for a person who has not even heard Swami Param, who has not opened the words book of the Bhagavad Gita, are able to understand each verse very, very clearly. I'm personally enjoying all these sessions, and I'm of course grateful to this entire team that you mentioned, who created this beautiful platform for all of us to spend an alternate day. Before we conclude, I would like to tell you it is our collective effort that we would like to spread this message to more number of people. If we have benefited from Swami Param's message, why not share this wisdom with a large number of people? Correspondingly, we have sent a notice to our own friends. We've had an overwhelming response of over 700 people. Now, 700 is a large number. And to be able to communicate, to be able to be in touch with them, 700 people, to tell them when is our sessions and what is our sessions all about, requires a cooperation of a lot of us. So we will be in touch with some of you to be able to help us in reaching out. And we will bring in Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga in this effort, each of us pool. Our first class will be exactly a week from now, next Friday. We will update you as it goes on. I'll conclude today's class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Kabhakshate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.